This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast designed and produced specifically for Florida small business owners and entrepreneurs. Small Biz Florida, talk that works for Florida. This podcast is supported by the Florida SBDC Network, providing the tools, strategies, and expertise to help Florida's business community thrive. Visit the Florida SBDC online at www.floridasbdc.org or contact your local office and get started on your path to success today.
This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast and broadcast that's all things business across the state of Florida. I'm Tom Kindred, your host for Small Biz Florida, and our little podcast here is produced and created right here at the Florida SBDC. That's the Small Business Development Center here at Indian River State College on the Treasure Coast. But our market's the entire state of Florida, and if it's business and if it's happening in the state of Florida, we are here to cover it and talk about it. As always, stay tuned over the coming weeks. Small Biz Florida is going to be on the move again, as those that tune in on a regular basis know. Conference season has started again. Here we are in the beginning of March of 2023. So lots coming up. We're going to be in Tallahassee covering Small Business Days the week of the 13th. So we'll have some episodes coming to you from there. So stay tuned. As always, a lot coming to you this year in Small Biz Florida, the podcast and broadcast. And today, we have with us a very important guest. I've been looking forward to this interview for a while, and we're going to have more to come from this organization. But we've got with us right now our very good friend, Ryan Coughlin, who is with Capital One Bank. Ryan, welcome to Small Biz Florida.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that.
So the primary purpose of having Capital One on today on Small Biz Florida is to provide the state's small business owners and operators information on the organization, your capital access tools, lending programs, and resources. And I got to tell you, I, like maybe a lot of our listeners, I just thought Capital One was a credit card.
Yeah, what's in your wallet, right?
That's right. What's in your wallet? Jennifer Garner and
Samuel L. Jackson.
That's Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
But you're going to learn today that Capital One is a whole lot more than just a credit card, and quite eye-opening for me, and really some incredible opportunities for small business owners and operators to get access to capital, working capital, lines of credit. So can't wait for the conversation. Ryan, but let's start with a little bit of Ryan's background. It's impressive to say the least. Just sit back and relax. It's an impressive resume. 20-year Florida banking veteran. You joined Capital One Bank in 2016, and now you serve as the senior director for the business banking group in Florida. Ryan has been charged with leading the statewide expansion strategy. Ryan holds a bachelor's degree from the University of South Florida, master's degree from Palm Beach Atlantic University, and is a graduate of the RMA Commercial Lending School at UCF, graduate of the Florida Bankers Association Florida Banking School at the University of Florida. I'm glad you worked in the Gators there.
In the Gators.
I like it. Graduate of the Stonier Graduate School of Banking at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, and a graduate of the Bank Technology Management School at the University of Wisconsin. But most importantly, Ryan and his wife, Nancy, live in Miami, Florida with their two French bulldogs, Bailey and Luna. I like it.
Yes, sir.
Ryan, like I told you before we went on the air, you need just one more banking degree. Is there one more out there you can get?
Yeah, I'll try my best. I think we can keep going. We can keep going, Tom.
Listen, Ryan, impressive. You and I are sort of hometown. You're a lot younger than I am, but you are a Fort Pierce native,
yes,
right
sir.
Here on the Treasure Coast. Mm-hmm. Grew up right here. You and I attended the same high school, many years apart. But listen, you and I talked many years ago, and frankly, as you were just kind of maybe getting started, with Capital One, but great career. Thank you for all you've done for literally thousands of small business owners across the state of Florida.
No, thank you for having me, Tom. I appreciate that.
So let's get into it. I'm anxious. This is, listen, value added. Everybody pay attention to this one. A lot of good information here. But here we go. Let's start as we always do, Ryan. Just a little bit of your background and role at Capital One.
Yeah, so I'm the senior director in charge of the business banking group for Florida. So I have bankers all around the state that handle, business, working with business owners from gross revenues. Really, our sweet spot's really $2 million to about $50 million in gross revenue. Really, that's really the sweet spot for the state of Florida for the most part. But we have bankers all around the state. We have Spark card bankers all around the state. We have a large corporate group that's located, two of those bankers, one in Orlando, one in Jacksonville. So, we've got some of the cafes. I don't know if anybody's seen the cafes around Florida, but we've got 6 of those around the state now. So we're really making an impact since, I guess we started coming down here in 2017, then brought the business banking group down here in 2018, and it's been going like wildfire ever since.
Wow. What, again, as you and I have talked before we kind of went on the air here, obviously worked with, in your career, thousands of business owners, but what are you hearing? What's kind of top of mind right now for business owners that you've been dealing with recently? Yeah,
I mean, inflation remains the single top concern with business owners I'm speaking with. That runs hand in hand with the need for free cash flow. Right. And then a lot of uncertainty within the macroeconomics of the world right now with the wars and different things going around. So it's been, a lot of different challenges. But I think that, businesses are trying to still plan for the future. And people are looking for ways to address these issues and be proactive in managing their finances, not only this year, but beyond.
Nice. Yeah. Good thoughts. So let's get to that. That primary point here, Capital One. Mm-hmm. Again, before you and I met, before I met and had some meetings with some of your team members, before we planned this appearance, I, like maybe many folks, really thought of Capital One just as a credit card, and not even really. I don't even really know if I even thought of it as a commercial credit card. I really thought of it as just a personal credit card.
It's crazy. I mean, look, we are the 8th largest bank in the country. People don't realize that, right? They always realize, They always think of us as what's in your wallet. It's the credit card piece first. But we've really streamlined things by being very digital and really investing in our people, right? We bring in great people, and our technology. So we've put a lot of emphasis on the technology piece of things, and we look at ourselves truly as almost a technology company first and foremost over a bank, right?
Yeah, and you and I had that conversation too. I told you the last time we were at the Flagel conference, Small Biz Florida was there. We've been there for a couple of years covering that. Incredible gathering of alternative bankers at the Flagel conference, which stands for Florida Association of Government Guaranteed Lenders. But I told you the last time we went to Flagel, was the first time I really noticed so many of the exhibitors and participants were technology folks, not what you and I think of as traditional bankers. Yeah. And so talk to us about how does that woven now into banking? How does all that come together?
It's been wild. I think ever since COVID, it really amplified the need for technology. You saw brick and mortar being shut down, right? And so I think the banks that were on the forefront of the technology were able to really capitalize on that, so to speak, and continue to be streamlined, continue to run seamlessly during those times. And I think because of our emphasis on the technology, we've really been able to make an impact and grow tremendously during that time, especially in the state of Florida.
So, and again, I want to make sure that folks understand when we say technology, what is technology in banking? Define banking technology.
Yeah, I think a lot of different things, right? So there's the way to digitally open accounts nowadays. There's secured portals to send in financials. It's not, Tom, you and I talked about this earlier today. It wasn't just like, it's not the old days if you walk into a branch and there's a guy in there smoking a cigarette, right? It's like, and you have to bring in paper documentation. I mean, everything you can email over through secured portals now, and we can expedite the processing of the financials because of the digital capabilities that there are today. So it's been, I mean, look, we've been extremely fortunate at Capital One because of these processes we have in place. But it's been interesting. I mean, 20 years in banking, it is changing daily. Every single day, it's a little different.
And the technology, again, to apply for, receive approvals of, and so really every aspect of banking that, of course, my generation never thought of. And I'm the one that said, you used to walk into the bank, and you met with the banker, and you took all your your pile of documents in. It really now can all be handled, online, digitally. Faster approval times, turnaround times, access to your loan proceeds faster, and so that's where the technology's coming in.
Absolutely, I mean convenience, digital access, dedicated support. It's with that technology, you're able to be much more efficient. You're able to be quicker, speed to market, and so these things just enable us to really deliver on behalf of the client. I mean, truly, look, banking is a commodity business, but the differentiator is the level of service you're able to provide to your clients, and I think because of the different tools and things we have in place at Capital One, it's enabled us to do that in an amazing way for our client base.
Right. And so take us a little deeper into Capital One too. You have deposits. I mean, you have accounts.
We absolutely do. Look, we're full business banking, right? We are not just the credit card. So, look, from anything from business checking, business savings, we have an escrow services account, which is tremendous as well. I mean, very unique to us in banking. A lot of banks don't do that. We have a specialty in escrow services. We do lines of credit like any other bank, right? We also have the Spark business credit card, which is tremendous for large access to capital initially on a credit card basis for business. We have SBA 504, SBA 7A, SBA Express lines of credit, Express term loans, SBA Export Express, which is great, being close to the port here. And then, of course, on the conventional side, we have real estate term loans, investment real estate loans, which actually, by the way, a lot of banks have gotten away from investment real estate. We do a lot of it. We do a lot of lending to homeowner associations, condo associations, and then guidance facilities for equipment. So, I mean, look, the full suite of lending products we have.
I'm stunned. Moment of silence. Who knew that Capital One was a full service bank?
Yeah.
Now, and I guess you touched on the suites, which I guess, is that what you called them?
The different suites of products?
The cafes.
Oh, the cafes. Yeah.
And I guess I've seen a little bit of that on TV, maybe.
Yeah. So the cafes are more like, we look at them almost like a marketing tool for us, right? It's a great way to go in. It's a kind of a non-sales approach in the cafes. We serve Pete's Coffee in there, so folks can go in there. They can log into they get internet service in there, do work. We get a lot of folks that go in there and kind of do their work from home, so to speak, at the cafes. We also have spaces dedicated at all of our cafes where not-for-profits can utilize the space free of charge, which is a great way to give back to our communities that we serve as well.
Wow. And the cafes are kind of your version of a brick and mortar.
Sort of different, right? I mean, like you go into a branch nowadays, and by the way, I mean, traditional branches, you see the foot traffic in traditional brick and mortar branches going down like 11% month over month because everything's becoming so much more digital.
Right.
But the cafes enable kind of a safe place for people that they want to actually go and be a part of those communities and go be a part of what we're offering there. So it's a unique way to do banking.
Okay. All right. So let's get down into products.
Okay.
Ryan, all you have to do is hang out with me for about 15 minutes. And
you wore me at this time.
That's right. And I'm telling you, one of the most important issues, of course, for a lot of our small business owners and operators and entrepreneurs is getting access to capital. It's one of our primary goals and objectives as a small business development center here at Indian River State College. And let me tell you, sometimes it ain't easy to get access to capital. So let's talk about some specific tools. And I guess I want to start with the Spark card.
Sure.
How can a business owner leverage and use this tool called a Spark commercial credit card?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a great question, Tom. It's something that comes up a lot. I think, a lot of business owners, especially if they're just starting out, they're like, oh, well, I can't get conventional credit, right? I go into my local bank and they don't want to offer me conventional credit. And then they kind of spin their wheels and they just can't figure that piece out. Well, an easy way to get quick and easy access to capital early on, especially, is the Spark Business Credit Card. Those lines of credit, because it's score based, I mean, you can see anywhere from $5,000 initially to upwards of $500,000, initially. And it's very, very quick approval process, and you get a very long time to pay those back within 45 days in the repayment term. So it enables them a way to get that little bit of float and a little bit of cash flow they need, especially early on. Oh, and by the way, we're going to give you 2% cash back unlimited on everything you spend. So It's kind of a win-win, but it helps them really get their feet on the ground and keep their business flowing and keep growing as they need to grow.
Now, obviously, if you carry a balance, there's an interest rate.
There is.
But you just said your Spark commercial card has an extended payback period, 45 days.
Yeah, it's 30 days, and then you have the 15-day period after the billing cycle. So 45 days. So it's been fantastic.
Okay, and I guess you being the banker, accessing a credit card and leveraging that credit card and the line of credit that's on the card, establishing that's going to be certainly much easier than a traditional line of credit where you have to show financials and show tax returns. I mean, you can expedite this quicker, to your point, just credit score based, I think is how you put it.
It's score based. Now, once you go over a certain approval amount, there is there are financials that are required once you get to a certain level. But a lot of times, as you're bumping up against that kind of initial cap, we can continuously increase that spend amount that you have available to you.
So get in on the ground floor with a Spark card, get some sort of reasonable level, operate for 90, 120 days, pay it back on time, then you can continue to request some increases on the card.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. And talk to us about what we think of as more traditional products. You do SBA lending at Capital One?
We absolutely do. We're SBA preferred lenders, so we do a lot of SBA. We've seen a tremendous increase in SBA, especially this year. So it's been something that we do a lot of. We're really good at it.
And you do the Express, the 7A Express?
We do. So we do the SBA Express term, SBA Express lines of credit. We also do Export Express, which we see a lot of that in Miami. But I mean, obviously, look, with a port here in Fort Pierce, there's opportunity everywhere with that Export Express as well.
And then 504s, I heard you say?
504, absolutely. 7A, absolutely.
Okay. All right, nice. And then I heard you mention in your open real estate.
We do. So look, owner-occupied real estate, all banks love owner-occupied real estate, but we also have a specialty in investment real estate, which is pretty unique to Capital One. A lot of banks have kind of gotten away from that. So even multifamily, 5 or more units, we do a lot of that. We do a lot of lending to associations, which has been really our bread and butter in South Florida, especially with being the mecca for condos. We've done a lot of condo association lending, homeowner association lending, and then obviously guidance, lines of credit for equipment finance, things of that nature. So a lot of that.
All right. How does one get started with Capital One? Because there's not a Capital One across the street from all the other banks, and like our drugstores, there's one on every corner. How do you start the process of getting engaged with Capital One?
Look, we can go online and you can plug in your information, and I can have one of my bankers reach out to you directly. Again, we like to go by the mantra of we bring the bank to you, right? We don't need a brick and mortar because we bring the bank to you, and whether it's coming, we will come to your office, or whether it's pulling up with you on a quick Zoom or reaching out to you. My bankers in the state of Florida, we have a same-day service level agreement with our clients. We will get back to you either by phone call, email, text, however the easiest way to get back in touch with you the same day. We do that because we know that service is the key.
Is it a legitimate question to ask you how many people are on the ground across the state of Florida?
So on the business banking side, we have today about 17 business bankers. We have another, I believe it's 10 Spark reps around the state.
Nice.
And then we have 2 large corporate bankers, one in Orlando and one in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. All right. And obviously, one of the things that we discuss all the time is really, for us, sometimes the lower end is more important than the higher end. I mean, you'll work with small businesses, startups, entrepreneurs, whether they need 5,000 or 500,000, right? You can do the smaller deals.
We can, and look, we probably would gear those more towards the Spark side of the house,
right,
if they're more on the startup side. But I mean, look, we've got a lot of folks looking to buy franchises nowadays. There's a lot of opportunity, right? And so we do a lot of franchise lending through our SBA product set as well, and that helps people that want to, maybe they retire and they want to do a new business, or they just want to get into franchise. Look, we do that all day.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think when we met with Anthony, one of your reps that works the Treasure Coast area, you have a preferred franchise list.
We do.
And basically means that if you're looking at one of those franchises on that list, it's almost kind of a slam dunk.
It usually is. That's correct.
Wow. Okay. Again, Ryan, it's been an eye opener for me, and it's just nice to know that we've got alternatives out there. And what I love about, especially our region around the Treasure Coast, we've got great relationships with a number of different institutions, and maybe if something doesn't work at one, it'll work someplace else, but it's always nice to have alternatives, people that can bring in a different way of thinking, look at a deal a different way. Yeah. Is that a legitimate, way to look at the banking industry? It's almost like a second opinion with your healthcare.
Yeah. I mean, look, Tom, we love to compete, right? I mean, I think a lot of people, they see the bigger banks and they say, oh, well, I'm not going to get the level of service, or I have to be a certain way. My business has to look a certain way for this bank to even give me attention. I think that we've kind of gone up against that mantra. I think at Capital One, we've really made things, especially in Florida, really regionalized in how we make our decision making, how we go to market. I think we've been able to deliver on that model, compete extremely well with community banks and large banks alike, just because of our service model and our go to market model. So I think that, look, we'd love to compete for the business. We'd love to show you what we can do. And I think that we've made a major impact since 2018, since our business bank group has been down here, a major impact in the community. And we're only going to continue to go in that direction.
Nice. So I guess, Ryan, kind of in closing, just you've got a good feel for the marketplace and small business across the state of Florida. Just kind of your closing thoughts. What's your advice as we kind of move into somewhat uncharted territory in 2023? We're hopeful, we're optimistic that things will work out. But what are your thoughts as a closing advice for small business owners?
I think first and foremost, banking at the end of the day, it's a relationship business, and so. It's a commodity business, right? So what's a differentiator? You got to build relationships. And so I would say for small business owners out there, hold your bankers accountable. It truly is a relationship business. If you don't know your banker by name, you aren't able to call them on their cell phone, get a same day response, then you don't really have a banking relationship. So don't allow yourself to just be a number. Be sure you're getting the attention you deserve, and a bank that cares about you and your future, and that truly is a partner. I think that's a big key factor.
Yeah, good advice. Great advice. Ryan, again, nice to see you again. Nice to engage again. We've, like we said, we sort of ran around in the same community and in a different era, but know your mother well, and great lady.
Shout out to Peggy Linares.
Yeah. love Peggy, and Ryan, I know that. We're gonna do a couple of segments here with Capital One and bring in some of your other folks to really kind of drill down into some of these products. But again, thank you for the work you're doing to support Florida's small business community.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And this is a Small Biz Florida, the podcast and broadcast that's all things business across the state of Florida. It's all about capital access and helping small business owners understand the tools, resources, and programs that are across the state of Florida. And there's much more to come on this topic. I am Tom Kindred, and stay tuned for the next segment of Small Biz Florida.
This has been Small Biz Florida, created and produced by the Florida Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. Your host for Small Biz Florida is Tom Kindred. Partners for Small Biz Florida include WPSL and WSTU and Indian River State College, named the 2019 winner of the Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence.